11 o'clock tip-off from Fort Worth. Pretty deep dive into TCU on the Hoops with Hunt podcast you can catch on the Guarantee Podcast Network. Talking about this team, it's got a couple familiar names to LSU fans if you really pay attention or you're into college basketball. Of course, Jamie Dixon, their head coach. They're 13-4 on the season, 3-3 in conference play in the Big 12. They beat Utah by 14, played Texas A&M back in December, won that game by 4. They beat Iowa State very recently, as about a week ago. They were number 15 in the country, beat Iowa State. Baylor got to them and beat them. They lost to Oklahoma State, lost to Texas this week in a game they really couldn't get it out of neutral offensively. This is a quad one opportunity for LSU as of today. I can't promise you that TCU will stay there, but if you go on the road, it's top 75. TCU is number 56 in the country, so this is still a nice opportunity for LSU to go on the road against a team that's pretty good, okay, but it's a chance to get a one that would be nice on the resume.
Yeah, you need as many quad one wins as possible, and if they're going to be in the quad right now, then you got to get that while you're playing that opponent. And I think especially getting that win over A&M, getting that confidence back, especially after being on that losing slate and just having that losing taste in your mouth and things going awry and you not really finishing games strong the way you have to and finding a way to win that ball game. I think that's going to give these guys a world of confidence going into this game in this big time, SEC Big 12 challenge. I know there's a lot of Big 12 fans, jacking at the jaw right now, thinking they're going to have the upper hand on the SEC. This is a chance for this Tiger basketball team to go out there and get another win that you desperately need.
Look, I could try to sell you on the fact that this is a huge weekend for the SEC to make a statement, and it's big for the selection committee, and that would be disingenuous. That would be a little over the top. But I do think there's some importance to it. If the SEC goes out there, if Kentucky can handle their business against Kansas, what if Alabama can beat Baylor? LSU goes to TCU. There are some games on this schedule that the selection committee could look at and look more favorably upon the SEC, and that's always a good thing. I always bring this up. A perceived weakness of your conference is such a big deal. When LSU in 2009 won the SEC outright, went up to Rupp, won that game. Tasman hits a shot from the top of the key, and they win the game. They win the SEC championship under Trent Johnson. They got an 8 seed that year. That's just the committee saying, yeah, nice job winning the conference. It sucks. You've got to make some statements outside your league, and that's what the SEC has a chance to do, and it starts with LSU at 11 o'clock in the morning. This TCU team is pretty good on defense. They are number 4 in the country. In defensive efficiency, they are number 14 in the country in defensive efficiency. They're number 19 in the country in opposing points per game at just 61.4. And a lot of that comes from the fact that they are 239th in the country in possessions per game. They play very slow. I have a feeling this game is going to go slowly because LSU's defense is very good. They guard, and TCU is going to have a hard time getting into their offense. They're not a great offensive team. And then TCU is pretty good on defense, and they want to play slow anyway. So LSU would rather play a little bit more quickly, kind of get up and down a little bit. TCU's going to want to go slow. However, LSU likes to go fast with Pinson in there, with Senior Days in there. There's some young faces that may be a little more comfortable at a slower pace.
Yeah, I think so. But I think that plays into LSU's hand, especially with the amount of defense they play. Even with Pinson being out of the lineup, the last thing you want to do is finding yourself against this LSU defense time and time again with the shot clock going down and really not being able to get a good look at the basket. So I think for LSU, you're playing right into their hands of that stifling defense that really doesn't allow teams to score 80, 90-plus points. I think that's going to be good for LSU.
TCU offensively, number 303 in the country in three-point percentage. Number 305 in the country in percent of their points that come from the three-point line. They're not a very good shooting team. They want to get downhill and get to the basket. They're big. They're physical. We'll go through a couple of their players here in a second, but LSU's got to realize on defense this is a team that is not very good at shooting. They want to get to the rim. They want to get to the free throw line. LSU's got to do a good job of keeping them off the free throw line and away from the rim.
Yeah, you've seen them, especially this is not an SEC game, so I'm sure Coach Wade should probably be licking his chops right now with this foul discrepancy they've been dealing with. But, yeah, I think if you have a team that's struggling from the three-point line and can't knock perimeter shots down, they play that switch in defense. You're playing right into LSU's hands. If you can't knock down those perimeter shots, they can rotate off guys and not play the penalty for it. It's going to be really tough for them to get to the basket, especially if they're going to, run that lineup out there with Reed, Fudge, and Eason out there. It's going to be really tough to get to the rim. So I think you're playing in LSU's hands again with that.
You may see LSU go pretty big in this game. TCU is big, and here's a stat that's huge for them and what they do offensively. They are third in the nation in offensive rebounding percentage. They rebound 38% of their misses. We know that LSU did a really good job of sending 2 through 5 to the glass on Wednesday. They won the rebounding margin. TCU has only lost the rebounding battle 3 times all year in 17 games. They are big, and they want to get to the glass. They don't care about jacking up threes. They don't care about how fast they play. They want to get to the glass. And so LSU, down on numbers, but they do have some size and length and athleticism. They got to rebound.
Yeah, that's something that we've seen this team have it struggle with in a couple of games, especially in SEC play, and allowing teams to get offensive rebounding. And if you have a team that's taller and they're missing a bunch of threes, it's going to open you up for offensive rebounding. So I think for Coach Wade and the crew, really getting that handled and really figured out, box out some of these guys and give yourself some fast break opportunities. They're jacking up, low percentage threes. Those are normally long rebounds. And with guys like Gaines out there, I know he's going to be looking to push it. So if you can control that and win that rebounding battle, it's definitely going to help you win this basketball game.
A couple of players of note for TCU. One I'll mention, not because of how good he is at basketball. He's a fine player. He starts at the 3 for him. He's a 6'6" 3-man who went to Bishop Gorman, which is where Emmanuel Wilkinson is from. He scores 8 points and 4 rebounds a game. I'm talking about Chuck O'Bannon Jr. Chuck O'Bannon Jr., obviously Chuck O'Bannon's son, Ed O'Bannon's nephew. I personally don't like Ed O'Bannon because he destroyed the NCAA football game. Now, he did some good things, putting some money in people's pockets with name, image, and likeness. I didn't get any of that because I was fat and slow and not very good at sports, so I didn't get on a video game. I like to sit on the couch, eat too much, and play the video game. He destroyed the video game. So I hope Chuck O'Bannon Jr. on Saturday goes 0 for 36 from the floor.
Yeah, look, he's their best three-point shooter right now. So we definitely don't need him heating up from the outside. I know Coach Wade and the crew, they're going to be really tuned in on him because really other than him, he's the only one really shooting a respectable percentage from the outside. So definitely want to have a hand in his face when he's shooting.
And if you're really into SEC basketball and you listen to my podcast, maybe when I go through the players on every team that we play for every game, Emmanuel Miller may be a name that's familiar to you. He was at Texas A&M. He was Texas A&M's best player last year. He's a 6'7", 4-man. Is averaging 8 and 7 for TCU. He is a driver, not a shooter. He wants to put it on the floor and get to the rim. He'll get some offensive rebounds, some points around the bucket. But at 6'7", he can be a tough guard. So Emmanuel Miller's a guy that LSU has to deal with. The last guy I want to bring up on TCU's team for something that may come up in this game is their 2-guard, Damian Ball. He is a 6'4" junior. He does score 10 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. But the stat that jumps off the page at me when you look at him, he averages about 5 turnovers a game in conference play. He turns it over 5 times in 3 of their last 4 games. He had a 7-turnover game a little bit earlier this year. That's a guy that LSU can trap. They can run guys at. He plays faster than anybody else on TCU team, and he's a pretty good player. He's a really good athlete. But if he's going to turn it over, if LSU's looking for a way against a good TCU defense to get good shot opportunities, make Ball turn it over 6 times in this game, and that'll give you 6 shots at the rim. That's something that came up when I was looking at the stats.
Yeah. If he's a guy that's going to play fast and really take away the rhythm of what they're trying to do for a TCU basketball team that doesn't really want to be doing that, it's the wrong team to be doing that against because LSU's got to definitely have that half-court trap ready for you. They're going to, bait you into dribbling through the court thinking you can make a play, and guys are going to be swarming. So if you're a high turnover guy going against this LSU defense, not a bad day to show up and try to play basketball.
I don't know if it's quietly or not. That's probably the wrong word. But Brandon Murray for LSU has averaged 18 points per game in the last 3. Since he's been asked to carry a little bit more of the workload when Pinson went down, he has answered that bell. I thought he was great in the game on Wednesday, making the smart plays, knocked down his threes, got to the rim a couple times for some really nice finishes. He's kind of finding his way as a freshman. That's a guy whose increased role has really showed more production. He's got to be big for them offensively. Eason and Murray are going to have to shoulder a lot of the load. I said this on the pod this morning. Like, Imwani's not going to shoot 9 times on Saturday. Fudge is not going for 20 points on Saturday. Neither is Eason. Neither is Sharif. If you're going to have somebody bust out and give you 23, 24 points, it's got to be Eason and or Murray in this game because the offense is going to struggle to come from just about anywhere else.
Yeah, we've seen Murray kind of take on that role, and to me, he just looks like he picked up where he left off, especially after missing a game or 2. He's the best offensive player on the floor, I think, for the Tigers, especially right now with Days being in and out of the lineup. I want him to be in attack mode from the start. You tip that ball up. I don't care if you're coming off the bench or you're in the starting lineup today or this weekend. I need him being in attack mode, being aggressive, trying to score the basketball, because when he does that, it just takes so much pressure off the rest of this team, and you allow your defense to get set up for a TCU offense that's not going to be trying to go fast. So I'm going to be looking for Murray to be in attack mode.
LSU and TCU, ESPN2 at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. How do you think that one goes?
I'm a Tigers, man. I think I'm back on the wagon again. Back on the wagon. It was rough picking up for a little stretch there, but I think watching Murray attack the basketball and getting a little juice from Sharif, man, I think that, and with Eason coming back into the fold, I think the Tigers find a way to get this done.
I picked him to win too. We shall see.
Thanks so much for watching Hunt Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. We'll see you next time.